Hey, it's Rob at EMPI. Today we are in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we are visiting EMPI dealer Renegade Hybrids. We're going to chat with Travis and learn what they do here.
Nice, fun to meet you.
Hey Travis, good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
So, I know a little bit about Renegade Hybrids. Hybrids maybe to be dangerous, Porsches, motor swapping, world peace. Is that what you guys are all about?
We've been pissing off purists since probably 1982, so we've been doing it for about, what, 42 years now, obviously. Wow. So obviously have some time. You name it, everything from 1965 up until about 2016 we have covered. So you dream it mid-engine, rear engine, or front engine, we got it covered. And so we're already got all that from 911, 928, 944, list goes on as you can imagine. But yeah, we're out here pissing people off, but we're doing good at what we do. So obviously there's a reason why we're in business.
I love it. I love it. There's a good reason. So just as we were here setting up, a customer walked in. I heard him say, I've got a 987. I'm addicted to driver education events, track work. So on a scale of 1 to 10, the likelihood of that guy saying, let's do it is...
I would say his probability is probably going to be, it depends on his budget. Because he's probably going to do a lot of it himself, which is fine. He's very track oriented, but he's knowledgeable enough to be dangerous himself too.
Okay.
So he obviously understands what's going to take. It's going to take some fabricating, some cutting, some welding, things like that. So he understands that task. It's not something beyond him. He built a rock climber and some other things like that. So that is up here scale versus what he needs to do for his base Boxster. But the biggest thing for him is, yes, obviously he's track oriented. He's looking at getting that stuff done. He already goes through PCA, which is Porsche Club of America. So he's already going through that. The owner of Renegade is Scott, and Scott is actually a West Coast National driving instructor for PCA. So I will link them too. He's already looking for somebody else to get more pro coaching time. And so we'll already link that up. But honestly, with everything he's trying to do, he understands the cost analysis. We were talking about it earlier, what it's going to take for him to do a brand new engine from Porsche because he has 150,000 miles. And so he's going to be at that point of either rebuild or brand new. And the cost of an LS is going to get him 2 motors for the price of what it's going to take him to get a brand new one or possible rebuild.
So, as an EMPI dealer, your connection with EMPI really revolves around our driveline products.
It does.
So, can you tell me, what I keep hearing is big horsepower in cars that already have decent horsepower, but now you are 50% increases, probably some 100%, like you mentioned the 914 WRX setup.
Correct.
So tell me what EMPI driveline does for you.
So what we end up doing is we actually had to come to you guys because we need a driveline. So what ended up happening is we have issues with, obviously, OEM, your O'Reilly's, your AutoZone, your Napa, your advanced boots and things like that, CV joints. They just don't have what we need and what we have to cater to. Some of these cars, depending on what they got going on, a lot of the guys are already starting to transition into a rally style setup, which is kind of weird, right? We're going into that rally off-road kind of realm, and so people need that where they're obviously lifting the truck. They need a little bit more angle. No other supplier has what we need. So everything from the axle strength, obviously for the CVs, everything that we need, we can cater to what we need for these customers depending on what they got. Especially when I get these off-road guys, hey, I'm going to run 25 degrees of angle. Okay, well, what do I do? Okay, well, we go back to the off-road realm of, okay, what CV joints do off-road guys use?
Sure.
You already know, 930, 935, list goes on.
But so if you'd say it, it would warm my heart, though.
You already know.
Right.
So obviously we're using your guys' product for everything for them,
Thank
though.
you.
And so we haven't gone anywhere else, and we don't need to go anywhere else because we get everything from you guys, and you guys are literally a hop, skip, and a jump from us. You're not far at all, and we call, and you guys pretty much 90% have the stuff in stock. And even if we have to wait, we're already miles ahead where we have stuff in stock. So we're just restocking our stock.
If you need a driveline salad bar, what I'm gathering from Travis is that EMPI has got the salad bar, all the pieces and components, and putting them together, talking about articulation, big cages like we find in our 930 joints, the articulation, those huge ball bearings that can handle the torque and the load and the stresses.
Correct.
It warms my heart truly I love this resto-mod philosophy that you have. And yeah, there's money, stupid money, but keeping cool 911s on the road or putting a 914 back on the road, and from 20 feet, I see it's got some flares. Were you going for a 914.6? I was going for that, but let me show you pop. And then I know the caliber of your work, so maybe you could show us some of the projects you're working on?
Got plenty in stock. I've got, no kidding, 6 914s here currently.
Oh, good God.
And it's where it's weird. It comes in a kick. We'll get a huge 914 realm. We'll get a 996 realm. Our next batch of cars are going to be 928, 944. So we kind of been bunching them together.
We might have to come back for that.
So hey, I got a lot of them. I have a very pristine, probably the most pristine 944 you'll ever see in your life here. And we haven't even touched it yet. So we have a lot to see, a lot of eye candy.
We're ready to sign whatever releases we want to see it. Take it away, Travis. Let's go. So Travis, good looking shop here.
Thank you.
I love a shop that's working, stuff's moving. You got some cars up in the air, you got a car on the ground. Can you tell me a little bit about how in the world did you end up with 2 Testarossa body? You said they're 914s?
914s.
How did you find 2 of them at the same time?
It kind of worked out that way. The customers call us and they say, hey, we want to be able to do an LS swap in our car. Long story short, this yellow one, no kidding, we actually small block swapped that car about 22 years ago.
Wow.
And it still is the original owner of the car. And so it was small block with a 914 transmission. We now have the LS with the Boxer S training, but it just all timed out perfectly because we decided to bring all the 914s that we had on the list all at once. And sure enough, Testarossa kit. I got it in your favorite clever. I got obviously your red and I got your yellow. So, pick your color of poison.
Okay.
But no, they're both LS with the Boxer S transmission. And we have a lot of 914 stuff here, but literally, I mean, they're complete. The red one, we'll fire that one up here in a bit because that one's pretty much ready to go.
Okay.
So they're getting some little last minute wiring and things like that because he has some little switch panel stuff they had to do. But they've gone through the whole wiring system on that car. But we'll get that thing fired up today.
Beautiful. All right, so you mentioned earlier a bone stock 914, about 100 horsepower.
Correct.
So let's talk about Yellow Testarossa is putting out
LS3 495 horsepower crate engine, so it'll probably make 420 at the wheel.
Oh my god.
So,
oh my god.
4 times what it made factory, at least, depending on what motor it had in originally. Obviously it had a small block, so it made decent power with a small block, but we're still going to be even 100 plus horsepower over the small block, plus we're probably going to be 100 plus pounds lighter than that of the small block that was in it.
So is there a cradle, a frame, are there things you fabricate to mount up, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So what ends up happening is that on the 914 transmission and the 914 motor mounts, they're in pretty much a direct line. And so what we had to do is, because the 914s, a lot of people don't realize this, but the 914s were hand-built cars. From between 1970 and 1976, they were hand-built cars. We've actually seen some cars about a half-inch wider, half-inch longer, and taller than the next car behind it. So when you look at our motor mounting system and our transmission mount system, we have basically a fudge factor from factory, not on our part, but because of the factory cars, the way they were built that way. It gives you room and pliability to move it depending upon where all your motor mounts and transmission mounts are located on the chassis. So you'll see that, but everything we tie directly into the factory, and the best part of the LS stuff is that we have a whole intake manifold system and all that. The only cutting that's involved is obviously the front trunk for the cooling system. Cars didn't have a cooling system, they were air-cooled cars, but that's the only cutting that is involved is in the front trunk. We don't have to cut anything in the back, the mid-engine, nothing, everything still stays the same, and even the target top will still fit in the trunk.
Very slick. I like it. Very cool. All right, so let's talk about this 996.
Of course.
This from 10 feet away looks
stock.
It looks stock. It's riding stock. It looks like a very standard 996.
Correct. It looks, and it keeps the part, and that's what we wanted to do. Is every car that we do, we try to keep the original transition of the car. We don't need to be. If a customer says, "Hey, I wanted to scream and say LS all day," we can do that. But this car, he wants it slick. He wants it very easy going, and so that's exactly what we did. Is we built this car around for what he wanted. So yeah, deck lid is literally closed. Everything is perfect. Everything is maintained. But obviously underneath, obviously the bonnet. You'll see.
Oh my! Would you look at that? I like that. That is not air cooled.
It is not
but
air cooled.
That looks almost like Ferdinand put it in there.
Almost looks factory.
It looks like I can reach coil packs and spark plugs if I had long arms.
And here's the best part, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we get asked this a lot. Obviously with the original, yes, it is a first of their water-cooled cars, obviously with it being a 996, but the crazy part is obviously being a Boxer engine. You couldn't pull a cylinder head, even to pull plugs or wires, you have to basically tip the motor down or you're pulling the motor to do it.
Yeah.
We've actually done it just to say that we could do it. We've actually swapped cylinder heads inside the car
to
see if we could do it.
Okay.
And we've done it before. So it gives you an idea how much room you really have. And in the original application of this motor, you wouldn't be able to see the floor on either side of this motor. You easily can see the floor on both sides, like an old pickup, like an old school pickup.
I like it. That's very slick. I'm a big fan of Restomod, and I clearly you have surpassed Restomod in the most maniacal / ingenious way I could think of. And again, I'm very excited that the quality, the durability, the performance of EMPI driveline helps you with this craziness. But the reality is a car that looks stock from 2010, 5 feet away, and I'm looking forward to hearing this, but firing this up and then pulling away from a light in an enthusiastic manner,
of course,
would be would be very exciting, would sound really cool, and if you were only lightly sideways and with a giant grin on your face, I would be thinking, hey, Travis and those guys at Renegade, they're good dudes.
Back at it again.
Yeah, causing trouble and making some people unhappy.
Oh, it's okay, but again, they can be mad all they want. At the end of the day, we win because I don't have to even sugarcoat anything. It is what it is. LS is going to be obviously the cheaper option.
Sure.
Comparative. Yeah, we're purists, and you can keep that. That's fine if it was still worth something. I'm sorry, 996, 997. They're not a early 911. They're not a 993. They're not a 964. They're not a $250,000 car.
Right.
And I'm sorry, 996, 997 are the first water-cooled cars that Porsche had did in their Porsche 911 aspect. They're not going to be worth much. And so this is actually bringing value back to the car. And these cars are actually crazy because by the time somebody does sell them, they actually bring in value versus selling it as a car that had no motor, no trans.
Right.
So it's a win-win for both people.
Yeah.
So,
and that's part of the philosophy. I don't know if you followed any of what we've been doing with long blocks, for example. A car in a driveway, with or without a motor, no one's driving it, no one's enjoying it. They almost forget, oh, that's right, I really like driving that car. So long blocks get cars back on the road. Renegade hybrid swaps get cars back on the road, especially this kind of upside down financial thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
I really see how this makes sense. All right, so can we hear this one?
yeah, so I'll start up the red one because ultimately the good thing too is we can actually show this as we have some showcase of your guys'.
Oh, well, look at that.
So that gives you an idea of what we end up doing. So that is a full.
Those are some handsome axles right there.
So this is nice because you actually can see it in full force on top of the car.
I love it.
You can see everything from obviously the CV joints, obviously the boots, the axle bars, everything is tied up. And obviously, yes, you'll see even our marks from when we actually torque everything down.
Great.
But yeah, that is an axle kit that you actually physically see from you guys that we're able to do.
I love it. I'm guessing with the cutouts and the MagnaFlows, this is going to be a little.
Could be a little on the optional side.
Okay,
on the
got it.
optional side.
The exuberant side.
Exuberant side.
All right.
The thrill of the ride. For
Okay,
This one.
bring it on. I'd love to hear it.
Perfect. We'll do that.
Okay, well that was a hoot. If you enjoy a little thrumble, a little rumble in your 914, I think what you need to do is visit with Travis and with Scott over at Renegade Hybrids, Las Vegas, Nevada. Travis, tell our audience how can people get a hold of you if they have a project like this and they want to talk to somebody nearly as crazy as they are. Where can they go? What can they do?
They can obviously reach out to us on Facebook. They can reach out to us on Instagram. Obviously, we have our phone number, 702-739-8011. Obviously, with website, you can look at a lot of different options that we have on the website. Email to associate is on the website as well. But if you can't see it on there, it's info@renegadehybrids.com.
That's easy.
Very easy.
Okay. So there's also the showroom that you saw here in Las Vegas. If you happen to be in town, maybe you just won, what, a few $1,000s?
We do.
And you want to convert your, let's go through it, 914, 911, 928, 944, 924?
924.
924 Renegade Hybrids using EMPI Driveline to handle all that power. They're the people you want to talk to. This has been a great time. Travis, thank you again.
My pleasure. Seriously.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.